Dan Estes, your service associate, and I welcome you to the Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalists in New Braunfels, Texas. Welcome to you all, whether you are Zooming in or attending in person. Now, we are in the process of adding back service elements which were jettisoned during the time of COVID, and want to invite you to please remain through the announcement part of today's service when you, whether you are a member or a friend, will be asked for your opinion on returning to the live singing of hymns during our service. The board will be considering this question during their next meeting and want your input. And we're on a different mic this morning because, as luck would have it, Loki has made his appearance, the trickster, and I think that maybe we have several Lokis here this morning. Anyhow, that's popping and it's bothering me, and I hope it's not bothering you. Anyway, this congregation practices a blended ministry, which means that on any given Sunday, we will either learn from our minister, the Reverend Ade Krabah, or we will hear widely differing points of view on a broad range of subjects from speakers both from within our UUNB community or the community at large. Because Reverend Ade is currently on sabbatical, that means that we are now in our summer schedule of speaking, and this means also that more of us will be speaking. Fortunately, we are just brimming with people here they're so talented. We're just teeming with talent. Next week, we invite you back for our Father's Day service, in which a number of our resident poets will read verses they have composed for and about their own fathers. But today, we are very pleased to welcome our own Dr. Charlotte Tate, who is Toby to us, to give her thoughts on aging gracefully, lessons from a dog. Toby has just returned from California, where she accepted the American College of Sports Medicine's Honor Award, which cited her distinguished career in exercise biochemistry, academic administration, and leadership in the college itself. Toby was a pioneer in the study of muscle physiology, and her research is heralded as innovative and significant for its time. Her professional ascent took her on a unique path that included academic positions as a physical educator, professor of experimental medicine, university dean, vice provost, interim provost, and vice chancellor. She served as 41st president of the American College of Sports Medicine. She holds the title of Distinguished University Alumnus from Texas State University, and she's been inducted into the Hall of Fame at UT Austin's Department of Kinesiology. The American College of Sports Medicine states in bestowing this award, through her pioneering research, academic leadership, and unwavering support of the contributions to basic science and ACSM, Dr. Tate stands out as one of only a handful of early female role models for subsequent generations of women scientists and professionals in ACSM. She is more than worthy of this prestigious award, to which we can only say, hear, hear. We light our chalice in thanksgiving for our friends, for friends gathered here this morning, and for those separated by time and distance. Friends dear and friends afar, ever present in our memories and hearts. We light our chalice in thanksgiving for the power of friendship that gives warmth and meaning to our lives. And now, Toby Tate with Successful Aging, Lessons from a Dog.
Well, thank you, Jan, and I'm really happy to be here this morning for many, many reasons, including forcing myself to get out of bed to go out into this damn heat. So I appreciate the fact that all of you are here. Like Jan said, I'm not talking from any notes. I'm talking from my heart. So my purpose today is really to lead you on a journey, not too long, but to come back to us, you and me. So let's just start out with successful aging. What does successful aging mean? If you want to go on Google, you can find many books that people are trying to get money out of us older folks to try to tell us how to age well. And what you're going to read there is, I'm not going to say exactly the way I feel, but I'll tell you it's baloney. And it's because aging starts at the age of 30. How many people knew that in the audience? Just raise your hand. Nobody. Okay. So the way human development goes is that it takes us about 30 years to become fully developed. And at age 30, men finally have their frontal cortex developed. Women, it's at 25. After that, and right then at 30, it's around 30, we're at our peak performance, at our peak ability to be as good as we can be. So that doesn't mean if you're up here at 30, you can go up a bit. You can. The important thing about that is that both peak and bigger than peak go down at the same rate, okay? So you're at peak, and then you're going to go down, and it's going to stop, and you're going to die. So let's talk about death, the age of death. And I'm glad about the dogs up there because they give us a good example. And that is that each species has its own rate of aging, which is I'm not going to go through all the systems that kind of go downhill. I studied the heart. But it means that within dogs, different dog species or strains or beautiful little dogs live longer on the average than big dogs, but they're still dogs. And the important thing about that is that it's hereditary. And that's one thing that we forget, that we are human and we're not much better than a dog because all of us in here have hereditary backgrounds that will kind of determine when you're going to die. So we know about human and all animals adapt in this way. About 75% of who you are today came from your past, from your heredity. So you can go to the past and average out when your parents died, and you might have a good idea, but don't stop there. You have to go back 2 or 3 generations and look at the other 25%, which is the environment in which you live. And that has been an interest of mine and curiosity for a long time on transgenerational forward passing down of disease and disorders. None of us will die without one of them. That's how it happens. So people who say, well, I want to live longer, and the question you have to ask is, what do you mean by longer? Because you have no idea when you're going to die. You might have a good idea, but you may not have the best. So what I've done in my career, and my sister Susan Tate and her husband Tim Cronin are here, they learned a long time ago about Jake and the Healthy Jake Plan. So that's what I want to talk about today, is Jake. And give you the Healthy Jake Plan. Remember, starting 30, and folks, you can't go back. But what you're going to learn today is even at our age, and I can't see you, but I guess there are a lot of us who look like Toby. Am I wrong? Nope, not wrong at all. The ones of you who are younger, all of this goes for everyone, okay? Not one person. But what you're going to learn from Jake's life is that it's never too late. Never too late. So I'm going to give you the components of the Healthy Jake Plan. I've actually spoken about this at an international meeting. And this was a long, long time ago, and I made it complex, and it really boils down to a few things. And the Healthy Jake Plan is not successful aging. That term, successful aging, was made up by some guys back in the 1960s to try to sell the idea that if you aged successfully, it meant you had no diseases and that you were living optimally. And then if you go on TV, you can see people who look like us, running back and forth, and they're so happy, and there's stuff like that. And then they find a home for mom. So, the whole idea about successful aging is boiled down to this, and then I'll talk about the Healthy Jake Plan. When I asked my sister, what does successful aging mean to you? She said, waking up in the morning. And actually, that's not too far from the truth, because at any age, many of us will not wake up. And I think in the last 3 years of exactly what that means. People who never expected to die young did so because of the virus. So in going along with that, I've asked a couple of other people, and it all comes back to the same thing. So successful aging, and this is actually based on some of my science, is getting up in the morning, doing all of your activities of daily living that you have to do for that day, and then having more than enough energy left over at the end of the day to do the things you want to do. That could be sitting down and watching the January 6th meetings, and you don't think that's exercise, but if you get angry and get puffed up, it is exercise. All right, so that's my definition. You can go buy a book and they'll give you all kinds of definitions, but each person in this room knows if you are successfully aging or not as you define it and as your family of origin defines it. And I can't express that too much, okay? So a Healthy Jake plan is 4 items. And they don't go in any order except for the last one. And I'll talk about that more at the end, but I will mention it. The first one is to get enough good nutrition. And you can buy books, you can stand in the checkout line now, and you can read all kinds of stuff of somebody else who's invented something that will make you feel better, that it'll be the diet plan forever, for every one of you. They will sell you skin products that are actually modeled by women who are 18, that'll help you as you grow older. No, folks, it doesn't. Don't waste your money. But all of us know what good nutrition means. We do. And if you don't, we could have a circle discussion and talk about it. All right? Now, all of us know that sometimes you really do want a McDonald's. Is that okay? Yes, thank you. It is. And the reason why it's okay, because if you don't have that damn McDonald's, you're going to get stressed out, and we don't need any more stress, right? But don't make it a habit. I think some of you may have seen that food, I think it was a documentary a number of years ago, and it showed 2 men eating McDonald's every day for like a year. One guy gained a lot of weight, the other guy didn't gain a pound. So what's that caused by? Genetics. It is. It's genetics, your metabolism. So the second one is exercise. Now, what is exercise? Exercise is a planned program of physical activity. So this morning when I was at the dog park, I saw a friend of mine and asked her where she was going. She was all dressed up for something. And she said she was going to a yoga class. And she said, I don't consider that exercise. And I'm going to do a stretching afterwards. And that's not exercise. I hate exercise. And I'm going to make up a name. I said, Sally, I'm sorry to tell you that, but both of those are exercise because they're planned. But you can do physical activity that will really help you. And physical activity is what we're all doing right now. Every single person in this room is doing physical activity because you're sitting up. Some have your legs crossed, others do not. You're doing physical activity. But you know if you're sitting too long, or that's all you do all day, it's not especially a good thing. Because muscles, as you get older, start to leave our bodies. And they will never come back. You can go to a weight program. The only thing you're building there is neuromuscular strength. The muscles don't get bigger after a certain age. It's just the way it is. So exercise can be done with a pedometer. I'm going to ask how many people here look at their steps each day? Raise your hand. Okay. How many people would like to if they had something simple to look at besides a smartphone? Anybody? Okay. Anybody who's not willing to raise their hand, contact me afterwards. I'll get your name and number, and I can see if I can get you the original pedometer that was on sale at this meeting. I was excited they brought it back because it's all you need to know. And what you need to know is that the 10,000 steps that the Japanese came up with, people are now saying, hey, that was wrong. That was just off the top of their heads because they invented the pedometer. They wanted to have somebody have a target. So I'm happy to report today that according to what I learned last week, that 4,500 steps is minimum for lowering your risk of all-cause mortality. Okay? So if you have a high risk for cardiovascular disease, it will bring it down. Now, who said that? Abby King from Stanford. And if Abby King says that, you must believe it because Abby King has a group worldwide looking at this. And so they want to give 4,500 to maybe 6,000, but 4,500. And I guarantee you, if you get one of these pedometers, you'll find yourself wanting to walk just a little bit more, even if you have to walk around your house and get those extra 200 steps. But I bought one because I was one of the first purchasers of one of these things. And it worked. I was really proud that the first day I went 5,700 without trying. So, but the next day, not so much. All right, so activity, physical activity. The third one, which is really important, is sleep. And I think all of you know who are getting older, and when I say older, however you define it, it means that you get a solid 8 hours of sleep. Now, some of us, as we get older, men who will finally confess it, and women for sure will talk about it, is how many times we get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and go back to bed. And some of us have a hard time getting back to sleep. Others of us just go back to sleep right away. It does disturb the sleep. And if your body feels like it needs another extra hour in the morning, there's no reason why you can't sleep in an extra hour in the morning. Now, some of you are working, I understand that. But sleep, that was a big theme at this convention. And by the way, there are 50,000 people worldwide who belong to the group. So it's a big theme, it's extremely important. Most of the time we forget about it. So those are the three things. The last thing that Abby King also discovered was that the most important thing, we can talk about all of that, the most important thing is to be with people who love you, who care about you, and will care for you. And that's what we're about. So let me tell you Jake's story, okay? Jake was a West Highland Terrier. I got him when he was a puppy, and I knew from the literature that his age span, his longevity would be between 12 and 15 hours. That was a quick turnover. Get him. I'm sorry, I'm not reading from anything. No, 15 years. So I knew that. And as Jake got closer to 15 years, and he was in a pack. We had other dogs, but West Highland Terrier is not a big thing. It's about that tall, that wide, that long. 21 pounder. He was 25 pounder at his high weight. He was the pack leader. But then after a while, I noticed as we got closer to 15, he wasn't a pack leader anymore. He was getting slower and slower and slower. So at the age of 15, and I want you to know, we fed him well, okay? He got lots of sleep because that's what dogs do. I don't understand it, but they do. They conserve their energy because they might have to go chase after a squirrel or something. But what happened at the age of 15, I decided, because he started losing use of his hind limbs, that it was time for him to leave us. And I took him to the vet. His name is Harry. We called him Dr. Harry. And Harry looked him over, listened to his heart, etc. And he turned to me and he said, "Toby, his heart is strong." Okay? And he said, "I want you to take him home and feed him his favorite food." And I said, "Well, that would be cooked ground beef." So I looked at him like a fool and said, "How many times a week should I feed him the ground beef?" And he looked at me sharply like I was a fool. And he said, "Toby, you were just going to put him down as much ground beef as he wants." And so that's what we did. And for 2 years, we fed him and his pack mates ground beef, little kibbles, but mainly ground beef. And when he was 17 years of age, which in human years would be about 94, 95, he started losing again his hind legs, his ability to walk, slept all the time, and it was time for him to go. And so he did. And what I learned from that is good nutrition is extremely important, but mainly, along with that, is the fact that Jake had exercise. He did get up and move around, and the planned exercise was going out when we walk them, right? So they can do their thing and come back in. And he got plenty of sleep. And so I felt like that with that one step of ground beef, that dog lived 2 years longer than he should have. Now, we were a pack, all of us, the humans and the dogs. And I realized then of how important it is for us to have you. And I'm talking about myself. I came down here a broken woman, and for a lot of reasons. When I say broken, that doesn't mean the pieces went away, because it's easy to put them back together. And my sister, Susan, said, you need to go to that church. And so I did. And so here we are. And I'd like to encourage all the people from home who are on Zoom, come back, because it matters that you're part of the body politic, well, that's what we're going to call ourselves, has the heat of love, caring, and being cared for. And I want to thank all of you for all that you've given me, and others as well. Thank you.
Well, in preparing for this service, it occurred to us that we learn a lot more from our pups than just how to age gracefully. Okay, where is it gone? Okay, you'd rather I pop than not. Okay. Anyway, we polled the canine members of our congregation, and we were gifted with these pearls of wisdom, which I will read to you right now. Jack Geyer says, make sure that you and your leash are headed in the same general direction that your human is wanting to go. Jose Contreras opines, I wish I were the man that my dog Tucker thinks I am. Mocha Mulvaney Vieira says, if you aren't old enough to be wise, look adorable, and you'll still get what you want. Minnie Carpenter says, if you're feeling down, put green bows in your hair and lie in the sun. Zoe Monick says, treats, play, love, repeat. Treats, play, love, repeat. Kona Dunsmore, enjoy the warm, relaxing feeling of sunlight on your body every day. Rowdy Estes, avoid biting Marvin if a simple growl will suffice. Minnie Carpenter, tough day, get a treat. Mine is an herb mix, but yours might be a walk, music, or a piece of chocolate. Jax Geyer, insist that your human takes you on plenty of walks where you stop to say hello to neighbors. Elderly neighbors are a great secondary supply of treats. Now, the Blasingame Acox Huskies carried on a whole dialogue. And here it is. When the birds sing and the sun rises, it's time to get up. That's Luna Acox. Coda says, if she drags you by the tail, she's not the woman for you. Luna replies with, chest scratches and tummy rubs are life. Coda says, Luna is wrong. Food is life. Luna chimes in, make as many friends as you can and love them all. Coda replies, don't trust Luna. Don't trust Luna. She'll drag you by the tail. It was at this point that Christina Smith's cat, Lucky, nudged her way into the conversation. Well, no, she barged in. That's what she did. And she says, dogs drool, but cats rule. Dogs drool, but cats rule. To which all of the dogs barked in unison. If it's not wet and sloppy, it's not a real kiss. So. May we leave this place today seeking our own freely chosen path to wholeness, secure in the knowledge that we have companions to help us on our way. And always remember, blessed be, woof woof, and meow.